All right. So what we did yesterday basically was to lay the foundation on what data analytics is all about. I remember in that yesterday's session, I mentioned tools that are used in performing data analysis. And today we'll be focusing on one of those tools. So we're looking at general introduction to Excel, not specifically for data analysis. That's the general knowledge of Excel you are expected to have gotten before coming into this class. So I'll try as much as possible to see how I can run us through the basics of Excel. So we'll start, there are a couple of topics we'll be looking at. I don't know if we will still be able to cover all the, because we ought to have started the class by 8. But let's see how it goes. Even if we did not complete it, probably in our next meeting, we'll see what we will do, because definitely we have to sort out some Excel fundamentals before we can actually dive into using the advanced aspect of it for data analysis. So we are going to look at what is Microsoft Excel briefly, and then I will also highlight some main reasons why Excel is recommended for data analysis. We also look at the limitation of Excel, why you should not just stop at learning Excel for data analysis, because there are some limitations. So get to know about that. And then we'll also look at Microsoft Excel loading, how we can load it on our system once it has been installed. They will also familiarize ourselves with the Microsoft Excel windows, that is the environment, so that each time we are using the framework or the spreadsheet to handle our data, we have proper understanding on the interface. They will also look at data collection techniques and data wrangling. They will look at data cleaning with Excel. Then finally, we are supposed to end it with data analysis approaches in Excel. Okay, so because of time, we will quickly dive into the main business. So what is Excel? So Microsoft Excel is a popular spreadsheet software used for data analysis, visualization, and management. So the three keywords that defines this program are data analysis, visualization, and management. So an average user of Excel should know how to impute data in the Excel spreadsheet, should also know how to organize such data. The whole of that exercise is wrapped under the management. Then, of course, the analysis is now the advanced aspect. And then to visualize means to present your findings, either with charts or with table as model. So that is a simple definition of a cell. So we can, like I advised us yesterday, most of these theoretical aspects, you can actually research on them extensively on your own. They are self-explanatory. So I don't want to dwell much on this theory aspect. I just want to glance through some key things we need to understand about the program so that we can get to the practical aspect for this session. Now, let's talk about Microsoft Excel key features. So here we have data manipulation and calculation, charting and graphing, data visualization, pivot tables and data summarization, conditional formatting, data validation, macro, and automation. So all this you are seeing, there are subtopics under each of them. This is just like we are summarizing the advanced aspect of Excel, which is mostly used for data analysis. So why Microsoft Excel for data analysis? One is wide adoption. So Excel is widely used, making it easy to share and collaborate on files. Powerful formulas and functions. So there are over 450 inbuilt functions in Excel library. When we refer to a program library, we are simply talking about the collection of different functions which are programmed to perform different operations within that application. So one of the reasons why it's recommended for us as data analyst is because of some of these things that I've highlighted. It has powerful formula system and function. Excel offers a range of formula and functions for data manipulation and analysis. Data visualization. Excel provides various charting and graphing options for effective data visualization. Pivot table. Excel pivot table is one of the most powerful features that houses almost all the statistical functions which we use in analyzing our data. So we'll get to know that when we get to the practical aspect. So let's look at the limitation I spoke about earlier on. Now, the reason why your knowledge on data analytics tools shouldn't stop at Excel. There is a limit of data Excel can process or manage. And then once you have this knowledge, you will be able to know when you are given data set to analyze as a data analyst to know whether you are to apply Excel or not, with this understanding that Excel has some limitation. So number one is data size limitation. A single spreadsheet of Excel can only manage or handle 1,048,576 record. That is the total, that is the maximum record a sheet can handle for you as a data analyst. So take, for instance, you are given a data set that is up to 2 million. So you can't use Excel. That is when you involve languages like Python, which does not have any limitation. That is where you involve R. That is where you involve SQL. That is where you involve Power BI. So you can see the reason why today no professional data analyst stop at learning Excel just for data analysis because of this limitation. Now, the complexity limitation, Excel may not be suitable for complex data modeling or machine learning tasks. So Excel is an application. It's not a programming language. So being an application, there are things you cannot incorporate in it. So there is a limit. And that is why we have a lot of flexibility when we are using Python, because it's a programming language. So we can create what is not to do what we want for us. But in Excel, you are limited to the functions that are stored within its library. Now, scalability limitation. Excel may not be ideal for big data analysis. I think I've mentioned that before, or real-time data processing. Now, when we talk about real-time data processing, we are talking about, for example, if an organization, yesterday I spoke about cloud storage. For example, if a company have their data stored in Azure as one of the company that offer cloud storage services, or Amazon. So any of these global cloud storage, if you have data there and you want what we call real-time analysis, what makes this real-time is that as you are analyzing the data, we want the third party to be able to see what you are doing at that particular time. That is the real-time analysis. And that is one of the main reasons why remote working is encouraged when it comes to data analysis, because we can use Power BI for creating dynamic and interactive live dashboard. But Excel cannot do that. So that is what we are talking about. So it may not be used for real-time analysis. Analysis, let's say a company in UK hires you to analyze their data. While you are doing it here in Nigeria, they will be able to see what you are doing at that particular time, not after you have done your analysis. Maybe later you will now convert it to PDF and start sending it to them. Excel does not encourage that. That is what that number 3 is saying. So these 3 limitations that I've explained should be the reason why your knowledge in data analysis too should not stop at Excel. So let's quickly look at when to use Excel for data analysis. So you should know as a data analyst or as an expert when to use any of these tools that you are going to learn. Number 1, Excel is best used for small to medium-sized data set. Excel is suitable for data set up to 100,000 rows. I just told us now that a single sheet in Excel comprises of 1,048,576 rows, which means you cannot handle more than that number of record. Now, but you are not expected to consume the whole of that spreadsheet memory or space. Just like your storage devices, like your flash drive. If the flash drive capacity is designed to store up to 2 gig data, you don't save up to 1.9 inside that storage. Otherwise, the drive can crash or it will be slow in responding to instruction. So that is the reason why an average is 1,000, that it can still be excited while handling the data. But the maximum is that number that I mentioned. Simple data analysis. It is not every time you'll be asked to perform serious analysis. There are some companies based on their size or sizes that does not require some complex analysis. They just need simple analysis, just to do some exploratory analysis, just to tell them to maybe the highest performing variable within their data. So they may not actually go into serious analysis. So such analysis is the best scenario to apply Excel. Data visualization. Excel charting, that is the graph. That is the graphing. So Excel have a lot of inbuilt visualization tools which can be used for visualizing your reports. Then ad hoc analysis. That is, Excel is perfect for quick exploratory data analysis. So these are some of the reasons, or these are factors an analyst should always consider in order to use Excel. Now, let's quickly look at Microsoft Excel loading. So from here, we are entering the practical section. Now, once you should know that Microsoft Excel is an office suite application. What I mean is that once you install Office in your computer, it comes automatically with Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, Access, and other PowerPoint and the rest of them. Now, how do we load it? Once you have installed it, there are various ways you can actually load your Microsoft Excel. So let me just show us 2 basic ways you can load your Excel. I'm not talking about installation here. What I'm simply saying is that admin your engineer have installed it. How do you open it before you can use it to perform your analysis operation? That is what we are talking about. So this is my graphics interface, which is basically referred to as the Microsoft window interface, where I have all these icons representing, some are representing folders, some are representing programs, while some are representing files. So on this environment, if you have Microsoft Excel icon created just like this, let's assume that you don't have it. Let me remove it. Because what I did right now does not really mean that I've deleted Excel from my computer. I only remove the shortcut icon. So I created that shortcut so that each time I want to launch this application, I don't have to go through the start button and start what? Searching for the program if it's not pinned here. So what I do is to right click on my user interface, then navigate to new, and then you will see the program icon. You click on it. So henceforth, anytime you want to use Excel, instead of you going through this process where you click here, you can simply double click on it, or you right click on it and select what? Open. And that will automatically take us to the application environment. So this is Microsoft Excel. But I notice we bypass some important components that we will have taken advantage of in the process of launching the program. So I will not want to use this because, as we all know in life, when you follow shortcut, there are things you omit. So what happened is that as we use the shortcut method, we actually omitted some things which might be useful to you. So that is why I exited, and I want to show us the professional way of accessing Excel, which grants you access to some of these important features that you as a beginner can exploit. Now, how do we go about that? Just click on the start button, and then if you can't find it here, just search it out here, or just click on the search box instead of the start button. Once you click here and it brings out this, the next thing is for you to know the keyword that represents that application. Every app you install in your computer has a keyword the Microsoft window use in storing it in its own word buffer. Now, just type E. So the E here is because all the programs are sorted in the program manager. So the whole of this environment I am right now, it is called the program manager. So every program that has been installed in the system, you can invoke it from this particular interface by typing the keyword. Now, once you type the first keyword A, if it doesn't bring it out, now add another letter like ES. By the time you type 2 or 3, it will surely what? Pop it up, as you can see here. So I will just click here. Now I want us to note it. You can see that the way it opens is different from the way the shortcut open. The shortcut automatically took us to the blank worksheet. But through this system now, I'm opportune to exploit some templates which Excel have already created. Now, as we proceed, we are going to learn how to build systems that can help us to analyze data automatically in the course of this training. Now, what Excel is doing here is that this is one of the templates Excel have built. A learner like you can exploit and gather some skill from Excel temporarily before you get to the aspect where you will be able to what to design something like this. So this is an analysis system inbuilt already in Excel for a learner to probably what scan through if there is any way he or she can learn something important from this. So this is a budget analysis system, monthly budget. And as you can see, it is very dynamic. So as the figure changes here, the graph will also what? Change. So there are different sheets. So this is the income sheet. This is the personal expenses. This is operating expenses. So all these have been created by Excel. Now, how did I got here? Because I took advantage of the templates instead of going straight to the blank worksheet. So we will get to the point where we will create this kind of automated system. So I just want us to know that what I'm trying to establish here is that the application of using the shortcut, when you use shortcuts, it bypasses those things that we took advantage of. So anytime you want to see those options, then you have to go through this method where you search it out so that it can go through the proper channel. So I want to believe you are following. Is I need a response from at least one person to know if you are following. Thank you very much, Miss Glory. Thank you. All right. All right. So if we go back to our now that, so on your own, you can take time to explore all this. You can take your time to open them up, to study them. The reason why you are seeing most of this, because my computer is on the internet. So if your computer is not connected to the internet, there is every possibility of you seeing just few of them. You might not see more than like 4. But most of these ones, because we are seeing them because we are connected to the internet. So in case you launch your offline Excel and you are wondering why I can't find all this Mr. Prosper was showing us. So that could be the cause. Now that we understand how to exploit the templates, now let's go in, because one of the topic we are looking at today is what? Data generation or data collection. And when you want to collect data, there are different sources where you can actually get data from. We have some existing sources where you can call your data from automatically, which we are going to learn in this session. And then you can also decide to build your data from scratch. So let's assume that I need a blank worksheet for me to be able to design, because when I exploit this, I did not start from the scratch. So I met a lot of things that Excel have already pre-built. Now, but if I want to design from the scratch, so I have to click on the blank, which was the environment the shortcut took us to the other time. So finally, it is safe to say I have taught us how to access Microsoft Excel. Now, if we go back to our slide, so this is a topic. There are 2 topics here. I've just completed this. Then I want to talk about this, which says interface explanation. Now, the next thing we want to know, or you need to know, anytime you are introduced to an application for the very first time, is to study the structure of that program, is to study the GUI of that program, which is what? Graphics user interface of that application. Now, what you achieve doing that is that you generate some confidence. So anytime you start using the app fully, you no longer be scared of certain things. So what I want to do right now is to familiarize us with Excel interface. What do I need to know about Excel windows? Now, there are some computer terms that I'll be using. So let me clarify them so that each time I use them, for those of us that are probably coming here for the first time, so that you will not be lost. Now, each time I use the word window, it does not really mean the window in our houses. Window in computer means the portion of the application you are working with currently occupying the screen. So right now, the whole of this environment is called Microsoft Excel window. Now, once I minimize, I can no longer call this window. So the window name have changed. This is PowerPoint window. Once I minimize, these have changed to what? Microsoft window. So each time I use the word window, The simple way of understanding it is what? Environment of that app, the interface of that app. And that is what I want to really explain briefly before we go into data computation. Now, every application software will always provide you with an environment for one purpose. And the purpose is for you to what? To manage that app. So the reason why Excel is structured this way because of its primary purpose for managing record and performing different calculations. Now, let's start by identifying the features one after the other briefly. The whole of this section that I'm navigating at, it is called the application title bar. So what your focus should be right now is what as a user I can access through this session I just called the application title bar. Number one, the application title bar will always show you the name of the book you are working with. Now, this is the electronic book. Excel is actually programmed majorly for record management and for performing calculation because of the inbuilt formula that are within it. So, but the people that find Excel sometimes more useful, they are the accountant or the information managers. Because as you can see, the reason why here is called book, because in accounting, you enter records in books. So that is why we say that Excel is for managing records, for collecting, formatting, and managing record. So Excel knows that this is a book. Now, if you are working with Microsoft Word, what we are calling book here now can be called file, because inside your file, you can have record. So inside your book, you have sheets. So if I click on this plus now, I've just added another sheet. If I click here, I just added another sheet. All these sheets that I just added are bearing the default name, which does not in any way describe my data. You cannot say that sheet 1 is holding your expenses like that default template that I opened the other time, where we have income, where we have expenses. So in other words, once you have created your sheet with the default name, you are supposed to right click on each of them and select rename in order for you to type it. So to name it. I can say this is my data sheet. So this is where my data will be collected. Then I can also right click on this and select rename and say, okay, this is where my analysis output will be. So all the insights that I am going to draw out from this data will be outputted here. So this is going to be my data, and then I will be fetching my findings and then outputting them here. And then at the end of the day, I can decide to name this dashboard. Now, you can actually rearrange the sheet. Let's assume that after you have created the sheet, you now discover that you want dashboard to come first before data. All you need is just to click and hold down the left button and move. You can see this arrow. As I'm moving, you can see the way it's navigating. Once I drop, I have rearranged or have repositioned that particular sheet. And mind you, what actually happened here is that if I've collected any form of record on that sheet, as I am moving, everything is equally moving. Everything is moving. So that is how to realign your sheet. If you want to delete any sheet, you can simply right click on it and select what? Delete. Now let's connect it to the title bar here. So all these sheets, they are segments of your record that are under this book. Now, if I want to change this book, one, I have to go through what we call save as. When working with computer application, there are two types of saving. We have the one we save for the first time so that you can assign what we call file identity to that particular record. Now, until that happens, Excel will keep recognizing your sheet as book one, which does not in any way describe the type of record you are collecting with that book. Now, let's assume this is my sales inventory book. All my sales entry will be entered here, and my sales analysis will be done here. It means that I have to change the name to what? Sales book. How do I do that? You go to File, and once you click on File, Excel will pop up the backstage. Now, the interface that came up now, if I click on this arrow, then I have switched back to the application. So if I go to File, it will switch to the backstage. So which means that all these functions are running as background. They are running at the back of the application. So from here, you can access your Save As. Now, the reason why I should consider Save As instead of Save, because I am saving this particular record for the first time. And that is when it requires giving it a unique name. Now, I click on the Save As. The moment you select that Save As, Excel will prompt you the computer storage unit. So you are expected to choose which of these units you want to actually save your record. Now, on my left-hand side, this is a kind of preview. This is a kind of preview of the available storage units. Please give.
Sorry, please, I can't see anything.
I'm
I
coming.
can't see. Okay, all right.
All right. Sorry about that. So I was here explaining that on my left hand side, we have recent, we have OneDrive. Now, this OneDrive is a cloud storage. So if you have an account with Microsoft and you have your login detail, you can decide to save whatever you are doing directly to the cloud using OneDrive. So you have to create an account for you to have access to that. Now you have this PC. So these are the storages that are within the local machine you are using. So under it, you have add a place. Maybe you want to add additional place that is different from this. But the best option is for you to use browse. Browse means the storage you are targeting is not listed here. So you want to temporarily travel from here to what to access it. So once you click on browse, then the computer will automatically prompt out a dialog box. So the whole of this environment that came out as I selected the browse is called the storage dialog box. A dialog box will present to you different options of different places where you can store your data. So for the sake of this training, I'll be storing my work on desktop or document. Now, if you click on desktop, it will show you all the existing folders and the file that have been stored in that particular storage. So the next thing you need to check, if you have in mind to use, for example, Prosper as your data or sales inventory. So you need to have browsed through by scrolling through what you have there. If any of the existing files have used that name. In computer, you are not allowed to use the same name to save two different files in the same storage. I can use Prosper to store my data on desktop and then use that same Prosper to store my data in document is allowed. But in as much I'm working with the same storage, it is not allowed. So once you have examined that, then the next thing you go to this file name. So this file name is a unique identifier of this particular record or data you want to create. So you can see the reason why you were seeing the book one.
because that's the default. So all you need to do is to click here and clean it up and then type your name. Let's say it says book. And then if you want to password it, maybe you want anybody that want to access this sheet to always have access to a password before for security reason. It is very important, particularly when you are working in an office. It is ideally you password that particular, because someone else can open the data on your behalf and corrupt it. So what you do is that after you have typed your name, you choose the format you want to use to save this particular record. So this is what I was talking about the other time, data wrangling or what? Monging. So if at the moment, if I want to save it as PDF, then I'll click on PDF. But right now, let's work with what? Excel, which is this default format. Now, for me to password it, instead of me clicking on save, I will go to tools and click on general option. So from general option, the computer will prompt you this dialog box for you to enter your password. So your password can be a combination of numbers or text. So for example, let me just use 1, 2, 3, 4. You repeat that same value, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can decide while you are encrypting your file or your data to either be read-only recommended or editable. What it means is that if I check this option, this particular file, if I mail it to anybody, the person can only open it, it cannot alter it. It can only read through the value. But if I leave it unchecked, it means that I am giving room for the third party to edit it. So that is what this stands for. So you click OK. Now, computer may prompt you that box again, just to be sure that you know what you are doing. You keep repeating the same password until it is accepted. So once that is taken, then you can finally click on what? Save. So the moment you save, you will get an update here. This place that was initially showing us book 1 has now been updated to what? Says book, which means that this sheet, this workbook now have a unique identity that differentiates it from other sheets, but eventually they are stored in the same storage. So I want to find out if you are following before I proceed. So I need a response from anybody. And if there's any question, you ask before I proceed. Thank you, Mrs. Glory. Mr. Jolly, hope you are following. And Mr. Solomon, hope we are following. Let me know whether they are here.
Partially.
Spiritually. Okay. So please, can you ask question?
Partially.
Okay, so please, since it's partially, please ask your question. Let me clarify that before we proceed. What aspects you are not clear with? Let me see if I can just run through it again.
Just go on, because I don't want to take us back. At some point, a lot of things are not clear. It was breaking. So
Okay, your network.
let's just go on.
All right. So I will drop the video link, both the one of yesterday and the one of today. There is a group that I created where I added only people that have paid for this program. So that is where you'll be getting updates as regard to this training. Let's pay attention to that group. All right, now let's proceed. So everything I have been saying since they are basics, that once you go through the video, you will understand. The reason why I actually rushed that aspect, because we joined the class late. So please, next time, let's try to join on time so that you don't put the structure on pressure, because I have to try and cover the scheme. So please, I want to beg us, let's work with the time so that we can take it gradually. Thank you for that. All right, but once I get to the main practical aspect, I will slow down.
I just felt that those things are things that you can easily grab once you revisit the video. Okay, so now I've just explained this particular part. We are still on the title bar, so you can also see some other buttons which are for regulating the application. So I will just touch them briefly, and then I'll go to the next part. Now, this is when you have a valid account with Microsoft Office. Then you can sign in as a user. That is what this is for. Now, this is called ribbon display. Now, ribbon here is a button that helps you to turn on and turn off your tabs. What are the tabs? The tabs are all this. The file is a tab. The home is a tab. The insert is a tab. Page layout down to help. All these are tabs, except let me take off help. Let's stop at views. All these are tabs. What are these tabs for? Tabs are like individual containers of commands within an application. So each time you see this, always see them as container or holders of different command. So one of the things that makes you to say you are an expert of any application is your ability to know how to navigate around the functions that are available within these tabs. Now that you understand this, like I said, file is a tab, home is a tab, insert is a tab. Then I want us to observe what is going to happen now. Now we are currently on home tab. If I click on insert, I want you to observe what is happening here. Let me take this off. I want you to observe what will be happening here. Now I click on insert. You will notice that the content will change. As you move from one tab to another, you keep seeing different command under each of them. That is why I said you should be seeing them as different containers of commands. Now that we understand the tabs and the command under each of them, now let's connect it to this ribbon. Like I said, this ribbon is to control the tabs and their command. For example, if I click here, I have three options here. I either select auto hide ribbon, or show tabs only, or show both tabs and command. So if I select hidden, I have automatically turned off all the tabs and their command. Now you can see that with the current appearance of the screen, I am limited to those commands. I may be processing something here. I might type, let's say 900, and then probably let's say 700. And I am asked to format them, probably to transform, to make them bigger, or to make them bolder, or to even change the color. So I can access the tab where I can fetch that command from. So all I need to do is to go back to that particular button. Then I can decide to say, show me only the tab, don't show me the command section. And now the implication of this option is that once you expand it like this, it will bring you the content. If I select columnar, for example, it apply, and then if I come here now, I can change the size. But once I step out, once I click somewhere else, then the command section collapses back to the menu. So each time I want to be seeing those commands, it means I have to be opening them. I will not want that because that will slow my operation down. So what I will do is to use this option that says show the tabs and their command. So once I click here, it permanents the command section and the tabs. So even if I step out from the cell, I will still be accessing the selected tab properties. Hope that is clear. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, so let me assume that that's good. That is clear. So please, anytime anything is not clear to you, feel free to interrupt by unmuting and saying something. So if you are muted, I will assume you are following. Okay. Now we have explained the tabs. Now let's look at, so this session that keep changing the content as you move from one tab to another is called the tabs command properties. So the content on this part changes. They are now fixed. So depending on the selected tab, that will determine which of them you can access per time. Now let's go to the next section, which is this section. The whole of this part, it is called the formula bar. The formula bar. Now, the function of the formula bar is actually divided into two. So let me quickly explain them. This session that is currently showing us G9 is part of the formula bar. And then here, this FS, if I click here now, this symbol represents function. For example, okay, let me start from here. The reason why you are seeing G9 here, because your active cell, this ticker cell, is under column G, and when you trace it to the row, is on what? Row 9. Once you change this, the location of this active cell, the configuration here will change. Now let me try it. Let me click here. You see that it is now showing I4. If I click here now, it will show K2. So which means you are in K column, and then you are in what? Row 2. So that is one of the parts of the formula bar. Now, the second part of the formula bar allows us to access two things. The content of the selected cell. All these boxes, they are called variables. They are containers that holds data within a cell, while the whole of this is called the Excel spreadsheet that holds your data for you as an analyst. Every data we are going to analyze with Excel, we are going to first of all call it here. So this is going to be the platform that is going to be holding our data for us before we can perform our analysis on them. So now, for example, if I am asked to add 900 plus 700 and I need a function to do that, I will just click on this FS. Once I click, it will bring out the dialog box. Remember what I want to do. I want to sum up. I want to add two numbers together. So I will choose the function I want to use. I want to use sum, so I will click OK. Once I click OK, it will open another dialog. Automatically it has added a function for you, which you will have typed manually. So all you need to do now is to supply the argument. What are arguments? Arguments are the data meant to be received by the function to perform the calculation for us. So how do I call the argument? I want to call this argument here. So once I click here, then I will tap what? This. So I've just called that argument, then I will expand it back. Then I want to call this argument. So click on this and then touch that cell. And then that will also call the argument. Then you can now expand it. If you want to add another number, then you keep calling in the number. Once you are done with that, you click OK. Then it will calculate what? The result for you automatically. Please, 1 second. Let's see if Mr. Jolly will join back. I guess he's also having network issue. So while we are waiting for him, if you have any question, please, you are free to.
Okay, sir. Please, while we are waiting, first your sheet is tiny, so I'm really straining my eyes to see what you're sharing. Actually, the Excel spreadsheet, yes, it's tiny, so I didn't get that argument.
Okay,
So you were trying to sum 900 plus.
So I've increased it now. How is it now?
It's better.
Better, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Please, you can just.
Yeah, let me take it again because of Mr. Jolly that timed out before. Now, this is what we did. Let's assume that I have 900 or 9,000 here, and then I have another value here. Let's say I have 5,000. And then I am asked to sum them up and output the answer here. I don't want to manually compute the function because I understand that Excel have inbuilt function. So what I do is to click on this symbol, which represents what? Insert function. And then it listed out different functions depending on what you are doing at the moment. The task I am given is to sum up these three values. So therefore, this is the right function, the sum. So once I have selected the name of my function, and then I click OK, now it will pop up this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to call in my value. I'll empty it. So once you remove the value, once it's empty, it will automatically display the function. In Excel, though we are still going to learn that in Excel, anytime you are working with formula, particularly the inbuilt formula, you must start with equals to sign. That is why the function added equals to before the name of the function is a rule, is a standard rule. So now I was talking about argument. Anytime you activate a function across all programming language or application, now there are food that must be given to the function to consume. And those food, they are called arguments. They are called arguments. What is happening right now is that the function is waiting for you to receive the information to work with. And what are the information is expecting from you? Is expecting to receive 9,000, expect to receive 4,000 and 5,000 before it can perform the calculation and give you the word, the answer right here. So those information that I want that need to be supplied to the function, they are called arguments or function inputs or function parameter. So now, how do you call them in? You click on this arrow. Once you select that arrow, you touch that particular cell with the value. Then you have just automatically called in that value. You have just stored that value in the function. Then you click here to expand it so that you can have access to other text box to call in other value. So I'll click here also, then I'll call the second value and then expand it. And then as you are adding, it will be creating more text boxes. So I click and then I call in the next one and then I expand. So at this point, I don't have more value to call in. I have already supplied all the value. So the next thing to do is to click OK. Once I click OK, Excel have outputted the results. Hope is clear to everyone, please. Any question? Is it clear now? Okay, Mr. Solomon, Mr. Jolly, hope you are following. Did you get that? Please, let's speak out. Let's speak out. At least we should understand to an extent. Don't let us leave everything till we go back and watch the video. At least every class you are attending, you should be able to grab at least 50% directly from the class. Then you can now probably go through it again to get the remaining 50%. Mr. Jolly, please, are you following? Mr. Solomon, are you here? It's as if Mr. Solomon just joined and left his phone here. Okay, maybe he's going to get the video later. All right, so let me quickly proceed. But I just want to make sure that we are following. Please, let's respond. It's only Miss Glory that is responding, please. Every other please respond so that I will know if we are following, please. Mr. Jolly, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute and respond to the question. Do you have any question or you are getting it so that I can proceed or not?
Okay, so Mr. Jolly said, I'm not hearing you again, but it is better now. I guess Mr. Solomon was not also hearing me. Call me, I'm trying to chat.
Okay, so how many of us are actually joining with our laptops? Mrs. Gloria, are you joining with your laptop?
Yes, yes, with my laptop.
Okay, so I will enable you to share your screen now. So what you are going to, you're going to perform this particular task I just performed now.
Okay. Okay.
Let me enable you to share your screen. You can share your screen now. All right. So you cannot share your screen now. I think you have gotten it.
Okay, hope I did it correctly.
Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. So I think Mr. Jolly is trying to connect back. Let's just hold on for.
Hey, can you hear me now? Mr. Jolly, can you hear me?
Okay, I think you're actually having serious network issue.
Okay, so I think we'll just proceed. This is almost 10. We are supposed to close by 10 with the arrangement. So unfortunately, we may not be able to complete what we plan for today's tonight class. So probably we'll continue from where we stop our next meeting. I think both of them are seriously having network issue.
That's true.
They are having network issue. I'll need to tell them to look for a different network.
Okay, Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi or If they even have another network, at least they can switch from one to the other.
Okay, so bring us to the end, Abby. Or you want to wait for the
I want to see if he can join again. If he doesn't join, because I want them to be there while we are taking the data entry section.
Okay.
Not they will draw us back if they are not there. I just want everyone to have the foundation so that once we start the advanced aspect, nobody will be lost.
Mhm.
Let's just give him to
Okay.
the next
Now,
two.
waiting to me moved on straight to the advance. So you understand these things now. As I explaining, okay, I'm understanding it better. I say straight to advance. I don't even do the business.
Mr. Jolly, can you hear me now?
Yes, I just now I can hear you now. Every other thing for like 30 minutes, I've not heard anything.
Well, it is well. So what will happen is that we will end the session by 3 minutes time, and then we'll take the remaining parts to the next class. I hope we all have a good network then, and then keep to time so that we can actually, if 9 o'clock is better for us, there's no problem. You can let me know. Not when we agreed on 8 and then we'll be joining by 9. So let's conclude the timing now. I think let's just stop the main class here and finalize on